Welcome back to the Peggy Smedley Show, the podcasting voice of IoT and digital transformation.
Hello, everyone. We're coming back to you live from CES 2020. I'm your host, Peggy Smedley of the Peggy Smedley Show, and I am with Wil Catlin, of CEO and founder of SenSafe.
Absolutely.
Well, welcome. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, how is the show so far?
It's my first show.
First show.
So,
Ooh,
first time,
rookie.
taking the training wheels off a little bit and getting around. And it has been really enlightening to see how far people are willing to push the envelope.
Well, envelopes get pushed.
Pushed.
I just want to say, what part of the show have you been? Have you been to Central?
Everywhere.
Central's insane.
Insane.
Don't
Everywhere.
yell anything like fire, popcorn, people will stampede you.
Yep.
Lynn's going to be mad at me because I said it, because she said I wasn't supposed to say that,
No.
but
Okay.
I just
All
said
right.
it
Okay.
anyway
Okay.
because it's crazy there. It is
Yep.
so crowded.
Yep.
But we have to do a shout out right now to our friend. Right now we're going to say it so he knows.
Vin?
Right now. 1, 2, 3. Hello, Vin.
Hello, Vin. We miss you. Why aren't you here?
That's now he's going to feel like because
Yeah.
he didn't come, so
didn't
that's
come.
what we did, right?
Got it,
We have
got
to
it.
do it. But now, tell our listeners, what is SenSafe?
SenSafe, the logic behind the product was a device that can sit in a mechanical room, basement, anywhere in a home where the utilities come into the building and monitor what might go wrong or cause failure to the building or cause health issues for the occupants. So the idea behind it is to monitor all those components. When people talk about how good is my fresh food, how good is the air quality, my objective is saying, great, but what about the air quality in your home where you're spending 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 hours a day? There's not a component that's designed to sit there and monitor all those various attributes and then report it if there's a fault.
So that's what we have here.
Exactly.
Right here.
Yep.
Okay. So tell us specifically how it works. Walk me through that a little bit.
So this exact device has a single plug that plugs in, one plug on the bottom, connects to your building Wi-Fi, your home Wi-Fi system.
Okay.
And you put it in the mechanical room. So if you live in the Northeast, maybe you have a basement, that would be in the lower level. If you live in California, first floor. So it's designed to sit and monitor audio, right? Temperature, humidity, carbon monoxide, natural gas, propane gas, methane gas, and radon. All those attributes, and it'll monitor each one of those every 15 minutes and then report that to the cloud. It also geolocates itself, so you know exactly where the device is. Satellite imagery connect to your IP address. So for example, if you plug this into your house and the device says, geez, Peggy, please confirm your gas company is Con Gas, and you say, yes, right? Just imagine that. All of a sudden you're at CES, all of a sudden there's some sort of a leak going on at your house. We know where that device is, we know exactly what the gas level is at baseline, and then we know it's changed and there's a gas problem. We could contact your gas company on your behalf.
What made you come up with this idea? What was the idea behind it?
So as you think about all the information out there in the marketplace, right? We all have various levels of social media that we use. We know what our friends are reading. We know who's at our front door. We know what the weather is in Kuala Lumpur. But do we know what's happening in our own home, right? It's some level of an analysis type level. So I'm a pretty, I like knowing these things. I'm a pretty active homeowner, and I started looking around. And there's a lot of different detached devices. But I said, well, that's great. So I can buy a hockey puck with a D-cell battery in it. I can put it on the floor, and it'll beep if water touches it. And I'm like, well, that's really helpful, but I've got to be here to see it. So I sort of thought about it further and said, okay, I bet I can get enough of these little sensors, put it inside a box like this, and then have it talk to the cloud real time, constantly, right? Not the idea behind, geez, let me drag out my phone, because we've all seen this, and let me have it somehow talk to that gadget. Well, that doesn't help me if I'm at CES with you, right? So I wanted that reporting to happen real time, and then if the device goes into a fault mode, meaning it recognizes there's a fault, it'll start continuously monitoring, right? So the logic behind it was, think about the sensor in your car to prevent you from rear-ending the person in front of you. You want that sensor moving like 1,600 times a second. You don't want to think about it, you don't want to worry about it, you just want it to happen. That was the idea behind this, is to sit passively in the mechanical room and just sense.
So how's it sending you a message? You said
sort of however you want, because everybody's different, right? So it has light pipes on top of it. If somebody's walking by, it can see it goes into fault. It has an audio alarm. You might want a text message. Somebody else might want a phone call. Somebody else might want an app. Any way possible, we can push that information to the recipient however they want it. because not everybody is smartphone apps. Not everybody has that technology.
So now, rumor has it you don't like Bluetooth. What's that all about?
The problem with Bluetooth is if I've got to take my phone to that device to get the data, it's defeating the purpose on sitting there all by itself in the cloud and pushing that information up. And I think Bluetooth is great for certain applications, but I don't want to rely on a gas leak and take my phone to the device to conclude, yes, I have a gas leak. That doesn't help me.
Looking at it now, do you have a booth here? Or are you guys just walking right now? You guys just
I'm
roaming
considering this my booth. I'm
This-
here with
I
you.
like
This is
it.
my
You
booth.
are right
I
here
have a
with
booth.
me? Okay.
Yes,
So
no.
you've just been roaming around.
Freely roaming around, yes.
Okay, so right now, do you think you've been walking around getting a sense for the products you hear? Do you think this is going to be a product that's going to transform the industry, the way people do things in their home?
Yes. Yes. I think people rely on technology to provide them real-time information. I think we've seen that. People like that. It could be a camera at the door. It could be a lot of different things, a Nest thermostat, lots of stuff. I think something like this, hopefully this, will be the tool that transforms it. Yes.
What have we been missing up to this point that we haven't had something? You described what we haven't, but why? It just seems like we should have had it. Why didn't we? I mean, are we just slow to respond?
Well, you think about the electronic doorbell, right? With the camera in it. I mean, the doorbell's been around for a long time, but somebody sort of thought about it and says, geez, maybe we put a camera inside that, and maybe we can get that video to come back. Well, the world didn't recognize they needed that until that person created it, Jamie, right? So Jamie thought about it, created it. So it's the same thing. Somebody has to sort of, geez, I think there's a problem here, or there's a better way of doing it. And that's what I've recognized, is I think there is a void in the marketplace where there is this information, but the market says, geez, I'd like to know that. People that we go out and talk to say, I'd like that, that's valuable. I would like to know if there's a problem. That's the piece. And you think about when you turn on your car, you get all those indicator lights that turn on. If the red one stays on, maybe you go to the service station. We're kind of saying the exact same thing. We don't want to be active on your front page of your home screen. We want to be passive in the background and only report if there's a problem.
What are we talking about availability? Getting one
For
of these
you
products?
today, by midnight tonight?
Yeah, midnight tonight. I want it right away.
That, for you today, midnight tonight, is $3.99 purchase price.
$3.99. Are you shipping now? You gonna be able to ship
No.
this baby? When? What are we talking about?
We're shipping end of third, beginning of fourth quarter of this year.
Okay.
So this is our, going through our production process, pre-production process. This is a urethane molded product with production ready electronics built inside. The first generation was 3D printed, so we're sort of moving through that process, understanding what production looks like. Our objective is to get them produced in Maine, so right in New England.
So you're gonna have it produced here in the States?
Yep.
So are you gonna have any problem with getting the types of materials that you need with all
No.
these things going on with everything?
No.
No, you feeling pretty good?
Feeling good about that. So again, I went to Oslo, Norway to talk to a radon sensor company. They're coming out with their next generation sensor, which is physically smaller than the component we have inside this device today. So I think, and that's the most complicated sensor I've got. I think the technology is there. People we've spoken to at CES that make sensors that would love to be inside this device. I think the sensor technology is continuing to evolve, and I think that's going to be a very easy play. Part of our process is, again, the electronic boards, which Vin puts together, and then part of it is what the cloud looks like and how it delivers that information back.
Talk to me about that. A little bit about the need to have the right ecosystem, the partners to be able to give you the sensors, the boards, all the things that you have, the silicon, everything that you need to be able to create a product like this that does what it needs to do, to be able to give you the right monitoring when you need it for all the things that you're monitoring.
So it's really interesting, and I am not an engineer by trade. People say I think like an engineer, but leave that aside, I'm not. But when you reach out and you understand the vastness of the electronics, the componentry, the people that are creating these things, this technology has gotten smaller, faster, better, and more efficient. What we really leveraged on is saying, geez, you guys are some smart folks, we really like your technology, we want to put it in a way that you haven't seen it before. And again, all the sensors inside this device exist independently in society today, perhaps in somebody's basement. And you talk to, again, somebody who might be like myself, who really cares about what's going on, they might have 6 sensors operating simultaneously in their basement on Bluetooth, perhaps connected, not connected, whatever. Our objective, take all that, capitalize on it, try to understand best of breed. And that's mission critical, because we want this product to be fault tolerant and bulletproof, because people are relying on it. And they want to say, geez, if I have a problem, that's going to sense it.
Why? I guess when I look at all these things, and we talk about so many things out there as being important, monitoring, we talk about the importance of it, but why today when we look at things, why is measuring like air quality so important? You talked about some of that as being important, but is that going to become more prevalent going forward, or is it just something that we think is something that's been important up to this point? Will it gain in importance, or it's just been the same thing it always has been?
I think the shift in society from sort of prepackaged food to farm to table is something that we've seen, right? You've seen it dramatically in your lifetime. I've seen it in my lifetime. We just experienced that. People are more conscious of their environment around them. People are trying to say, what can I do? How can it be purer, cleaner? I want to go on vacation to the great outdoors and enjoy that. So people care about that. I think up until now, having something connected has been challenging to do with technology. Well, it just wasn't ready yet. So now the technology's caught up. Now society is very cognizant of what they want. They want good food in their food stream. They want to understand that. They want good fresh air, and they want to make sure that their environment's clean and safe. So that's sort of what I'm trying to do, is say, I can deliver that back to you, and I can't rectify it, but I can notify you. So we're saying if you can measure it, we can monitor it, right?
So if we look at what you're kind of saying is we have a new generation that is very cognizant and more aware of the things around them.
Yep.
When we talk about that.
Yep.
So that's why this is going to become more relevant or prevalent
Yep.
to what you're saying in air quality when we think about that.
And when you think about air quality, you think about a property and casualty insurance company. The number 2 claim is mold. Think about a home warranty company. The number 2 claim is mold. So we did a focus group, 2 focus groups. People were like, mold is a real problem. Everybody can identify with it. So now understand that time, temperature, humidity, we have a predictive mold logarithm that can tell us when that home will go into what we'll call mold failure. There's a mold scale, not that I created it, I didn't, from 0 to 6. Anything above 2 is uninhabitable. So when you think about that, 1 in 2 homes in North America are susceptible to mold. 1 in 4 people in America are susceptible to mold-related allergies. So mold's a huge problem. So think about elderly. We focused on the younger folks, but think about elderly. All of a sudden, people want to stay in their home longer. The basement's dark, they don't go down there. All of a sudden, there's a water leak. There are air handlers in the basement. It's pumping that mold throughout the entire building. And they're not there to check it. And they're elderly, they're not focused on these things. It just smells funny, dear, I'm not sure why. And now you're living in a sick house. You can have a habitable house to an uninhabitable house in North America in 7 to 14 days, if there's enough temperature and humidity.
How do you see this product connecting to other connected home
Great
products?
question. So we had discussions with groups like Amazon and groups like Google. The notion on taking their component, their chip requirement, and inserting in this, that's something Bin can do pretty easily. So I'm not super worried about that. And as you think about, who's going to control that home dashboard? Is it Amazon? Is it Google? I don't know. That's sort of outside my coverage area. But I think the notion on devices like this being able to connect to a master dashboard, that is mission critical. And I see our device easily being able to do that.
And then getting more of that data to them as we kind of continue and being able to access that information.
If you're going to go sell your home, and you could say, geez, I've been doing air quality monitoring in my home for 10 years, and here's the data, and it's been validated because the GPS knows exactly where it is, that's pretty valuable information. What people care about on that dashboard is when it goes into fault. They don't want to check their humidity level in their basement on a daily basis, but if something changes, that's what they want to know.
Looking at it right now, is there anybody that you've seen on the show floor that has anything close or is a competitor that you see?
No.
No. Is there anything you've seen on the show floor that you like?
Absolutely. So there was a terrific sensor company that we're going to try to incorporate in our product here that might eliminate the actual numbers of sensors, because that one sensor can actually sense more componentry going on. That's pretty cool. So sensor technology is continuing to change. It's getting smaller, it's getting less expensive, and it's delivering better data. At the end of the day, society wants data, right?
So there's a lot of cool things happening. When you think about where we are, when we talk about the IoT, now, learning, do you think that this will be able to incorporate AI, not just IoT? Will it be able to become an AI, IoT, machine learning kind of thing for the environment? Well, let's say somebody who has a physical need, going on. Do you see you could take this to that next level?
Absolutely. So I had a conversation with a Harvard Medical School professor. 85% of the time he's in the classroom, 15% of the time he's with patients. He said, Will, if I knew what was going on in my patient's home, that would change how we understood our patients. And he said, I don't have data like that today. So, radon, there's a big debate about how it impacts society, but he believes radon can impact society and kill people. 22,000 people a year will die from radon lung cancer. So he said, but if I knew the attributes inside the environment where they're spending perhaps half of their time, that would impact dramatically, and it could change how we address their medical needs.
Someone with asthma, whatever it might
Absolutely.
be.
So if somebody knew that you're in a sick house, and we've heard of sick buildings, we've heard that phrase, but if somebody says, I have a sick house, you heard about the Chinese wall board, right? All right, so that was a catastrophic problem in society. Expensive, painful, health issues. Now, there's a device sitting in there quietly just sensing these things. So that's what we're after. I think it'll change.
I think it's amazing. I have to tell you, Wil Catlin, thank you so much for joining, CEO and founder of SenseSafe. Thank you so much for spending time. What is your URL so our listeners can find more about when you're ready to deliver this baby?
SenseSafe.com.
All right, you heard it right here. All right, well, we are out of time for this segment, but if you want to tweet at us, do it at ConnectedWMag. And remember, this is the Peggy Smedley Show, the podcasting voice of IoT and digital transformation. And remember, with great technology comes great responsibility. We'll be right back after this short break.